The Dallas Cowboys are still looking to break through. While minimal playoff success has been primarily due to coaching mess-ups, it's no secret that both the offense and defense are on the elite end of things. I'm Chase Keller, and tune into this dive of the Dallas Cowboys, why I believe they will finish 12-5, and how they came up in 8th in my 2023 NFL Power Rankings. The Cowboys offense has underachieved for the last couple of years. Personally, I believe the coaching has a huge say in these failures, as the offensive talent is very clearly at an elite level. So, let's talk about this offense. We start with one of the most controversial quarterbacks in the league in Dak Prescott. I just discussed another one in Daniel Jones in my latest video, but Prescott may have more mixed feelings from NFL fans. I have Prescott as the 6th best quarterback in the NFL, so let me explain why. 2022 may have been a down year for him, but we've seen some elite production before. In 2021, Prescott threw for 37 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions, having an impressive 4.9% big-time throw percentage. He made some great plays throwing deep, and while his arm strength isn't the best, his deep accuracy has been phenomenal at times. We can't isolate his 2022 season though, as while he did play through an injury, 13 interceptions in 14 games is not ideal. He threw a career high in both interceptions and turnover-worthy play percentage, 15 and 4% respectively. He also threw the same amount of big-time plays as turnover-worthy plays, which was also the worst ratio of his career. Prescott is still very clearly a starting caliber quarterback, and while he does make some mistakes here and there, he is still a superstar in my eyes. The running back room drastically shifted this offseason with the loss of Ezekiel Elliott, who can still return by the way. But even with the era of Zeke ending in Dallas, it's time to see what Tony Pollard can do without a committee. I originally believed that Pollard would be utilized as a gadget guy in 2022, but boy was I wrong. Not only was he utilized in a gadget way, he saw many moments of working as the team's only running back, as he caught momentum to run away as RB1. Pollard is great on the ground, as he saw his first 1,000-yard season in 2022 while also rushing for 9 rushing touchdowns. This is where Eckler needs to take note. You can still be an elite receiving back while rushing for over 1,000 yards. Behind Pollard, there are a couple of decent depth pieces. Ronald Jones formerly was a great rusher, but his descent is continuing with a lack of volume and being suspended to start the 2023 season. As for Malik Davis, he's got some great vision and explosion, which proved why he saw 80 snaps last season. I was high on him as a prospect, and he gained 2 overall points last year. The wide receivers here continue on with the fantastic skill positions. This elite group just added a veteran, and the young guys are some great developmental pieces. I can't even call CeeDee Lamb a developmental piece though. He's already developed into a superstar level wideout. He's got a combination of everything, which I believe goes under the radar. I can point out his elite route running, which is near the top of the league. If Lamb has a recovered Prescott for 2023, expect potential top 3 receiver numbers. I also really like the pickup of Brandon Cooks, giving Prescott that great number 2 target to work with, especially given that he's a deep threat. He will hopefully bring his first season above 6 touchdowns since 2017. It's very well known that he has elite athleticism and deep speed to beat down man corners. Any team that focuses on one-on-one outside matchups should be scared of the combination of Brandon Cooks and this next receiver. Michael Gallup is a good starter when healthy. He's a great one-on-one receiver with phenomenal red zone appeal and contested catch upside. He's going to be a big factor to the scoring offense, as if he can play all 17 games, he can work very well on the outside. Also in this room, Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Moreno-Cropper are 2 guys I believe have very high upside to work as rotational receivers. The tight end room is where this offense sees a fall. There's no true tight end 1 in this offense, but there are 2 backup caliber players who can help improve this room quickly. Jake Ferguson gained 7 overall points during his rookie season, and I love the receiving ability he has. He's not a great blocker, which will ruin part of his upside, but as a receiver, he is special. He is a good contested catch tight end with great hands and especially great catch radius for a tight end. He should be a good starter for 2023, which is why I gave him a breakout grade. Dallas is first on this roster. There are still 2 more breakout grades to come, so continue watching. I do want to explain why Shoemaker is so low. He is a solid blocker, and I don't see a lot of upside on either end end of the stick. He's not a great receiver, but he has a build like one. He does have a decent athletic profile, but he will need to improve a lot to work as a starter. Let's end with a near great offensive line group. They have no players worse than a 70 overall, along with some absolute studs, and I want to talk about one of those studs first. Zach Martin is now 33 years old, and his 2022 season was not great, but I still believe he is superstar caliber with his phenomenal pass blocking for a guard. I do want to discuss Zach Martin first because of his contract situation, as the likelihood of a holdout is continuing to increase. If he does hold out, Dallas will really miss him. If he doesn't hold out, Dallas has to hope that he doesn't continue his decline. Outside of Martin, there is one other star player in Tyron Smith. He dealt with injury in 2022, and just like Martin, age will bring a general decline in rating, with Smith being 32 years old. Smith needs a fully healthy season, as when he last had that in 2021, he allowed 11 pressures in the pass. There's one more good starter in Tyler Smith, a guy who I had as a 74 overall entering 2022. After a dominant run blocking year, he elevates himself to a 77. Because of his lack of wingspan and an average pass block ability, he should move inside for 2023. If he does play guard, Smith deserves this second breakout grade on the Dallas roster. Terrence Steele is fourth up, and he has improved every year to start his career. He should be the starting right tackle for 2023. That's if he can finally stay consistent. Finally, Biadasz is a high backup caliber player in my eyes, and there's actually a good shot that Asim Richards takes that spot soon. The offensive coaching is what I am most critical of on this Dallas team. Mike McCarthy is a modern offensive coach, but that modern offense has not translated to production in the playoffs. Honestly, I thought Moore was a better coach than McCarthy was last season, as his play calls are generally bland and Madden-like. That's what kills his teams. The lack of a creative playbook makes his offense predictable, therefore playoff success is going to be hard to find in his scheme. I believe he is the second highest coach on the hot seat, only behind Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To summarize, this Dallas offense has some great talent, it's just going to come down to the coaching. I want you guys to comment down below if Mike McCarthy will have a head coaching job going into 2024. For now, let's discuss this defensive roster. This Cowboys defense is just as good as the offense. Ranked 4th across the league just like the offense, along with possibly the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, this defense is obviously one to watch for in 2023. Let's dive into this impressive defense, shall we? Let's start with this spectacular edge group, one that needs to be in talks as the best in the league. When including the best all-around defender in the league, this group has the best duo in football. Obviously, this changes if Micah Parsons is listed at linebacker, but for the sake of manipulation like I do with every team, Micah Parsons is an edge rusher. Parsons has been a top-tier pass rusher to start his career while dipping his toes in everything defense has to offer. Specifically in 2022, he had 90 pressures, which was tied with Nick Bosa for the NFL's best. Even outside of the pass rush, he can do it all. It is hard to place him at either edge or linebacker, but given that edge is the most important position on the defense to me, I think he's the NFL's best at the position. Beside him, DeMarcus Lawrence is a great pass rusher who turned 31 this offseason. While age is going to start getting in the way soon, Lawrence is consistently a top-tier producer wherever he is. In 2022, he was top 25 in pressures and top 12 in run stops, and it's not abnormal for Lawrence to be top 25 in both. If he continues to produce like this, he is going to stay at least a star for the next couple of years. Behind them, the depth of Sam Williams and Dorrance Armstrong is also fantastic. Add Dante Fowler into that mix as well, and you have 3 good backup players to follow this phenomenal duo. The interior defensive line is the only hole in this defense, as while they tried to improve it, there were better options. Their new addition in Mozzie Smith is the best interior defensive lineman here, and I want Chase Keller journalism from April to explain how good Smith really is. Smith is an elite run defender as a prospect. He has fantastic gap control that may not extend to a 2-gap defender, but he moves and tackles very well for a 6'3", 323-pound guy. In the pass rush, he is absolutely a non-factor. He struggles to get past the line and is not as powerful as you would think, yet he is fantastic where he is at. By the way, those videos are coming back for this upcoming draft season, so subscribe to Chase Keller Journalism for those videos. So what makes this pick not so great? Well, he was the third best available guy on the board. I liked Brian Breesy and Keanu Benson more than Mozzie Smith, so unless he can improve his pass rush, I don't see this pick faring out too well. Chauncey Golston and Osa Odigizua will fight for that second spot on the inside. Golston is an improving pass rusher with fantastic technique. Odigizua made a big leap from 2021 to 2022, becoming a decent overall defender. I have a 1-up on Golston, but we will see who takes over for this second spot. The linebacker group is the second worst positional group on this defense, and a tag of bad should not fool anyone. This group has great upside with Dan Quinn's scheme, and the amount of high versatility should show quickly. A couple of years ago, I would have thought Leighton Vander Esch would be higher than this, but I also thought he would be a superstar. He's developed into a good starter with good coverage and tackling abilities, but nothing much better. Vander Esch knows his role, and that's about all he needs. His good coverage will come heavily into play as I continue on with the rest of this linebacker core. I think discussing how DeMarvion Overshown could play safety should put together why his coverage is good. He's an athletic linebacker with very solid instincts to close on a receiver. He also has great pass rush versatility, which gives him the capability to play linebacker, safety, and edge rusher. And while Jabril Cox is a 60 overall, I think he deserves to play more, whether it's at linebacker or at safety. He also has that hybrid capability and has solid coverage instincts as well. The secondary combined is something very special. As separate groups, they both land above average. The cornerbacks will start us off, and some ratings may seem low to Dallas fans, but please, hear me out here. The new pickup, Stephon Gilmore, is the cornerback 1 in this room. Keep in mind, this man won Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, and he is getting old, but he's barely losing ground. Sure, this is his 4th team in 4 years, but his coverage is hard to replace. In seasons where he has played over 400 coverage snaps, he has not allowed a 90 or higher passer rating since 2014. And then Trayvon Diggs is my bold take. I do believe he is overrated, and that his 11 interception season was taken out of proportion. Yet, he is still a starting talent. Diggs actually had a solid coverage year in 2022, but in 2021, yeah, he had 11 interceptions, but he also allowed over 1,000 yards. If Diggs can start preventing big plays and stop biting so easily, he will become a superstar. For now, he sits in the good starter tier. Daron Bland comes up with my 3rd and final breakout grade on this roster. Bland not only came up with 5 interceptions in his rookie year, but he also allowed 9.3 yards per reception and a passer rating of 76.4. That is the counter to Trayvon Diggs. Bland is really good at holding big plays back. Jordan Lewis and Kelvin Joseph are also notable, given that they both fall under the good backup tier. Nashawn Wright is a name to also watch for in 2023. To wrap up this defensive roster, the safeties have heavy depth and good upside for this upcoming season. Just to help me feel secure, Dallas really went out and signed Hooker to an extension. Thank you guys. In all seriousness, I've thought Hooker has been under the radar for a year or two. As with Dallas, he's been a superior run defending safety who combines very solid coverage instincts to make a good starter. Hooker's most appealing statistic to me was his 5.9% in 2022. Hooker's most appealing statistic to me was his missed tackle rate of 5.9% in 2022, which is ridiculously good for a safety. Behind Hooker, it's going to be a fight between Jaron Kearse and Donovan Wilson for that second spot. And honestly, both of them deserve it. Kearse isn't great in coverage, but he's actually even more ridiculous in run defense. He's missed under 4% of his tackles the last 2 years, which is insane. And Wilson is another great run defender, but he actually came on the scene as the NFL's best blitzing safety last year. In 33 pass rush snaps, he compiled 13 pressures and 5 sacks. Overall, this secondary may give up a lot of plays going deep, but they are very good ball hawks and put stuff on the stat sheet. This defensive coaching, on the other hand, come on. It's Dan Quinn. Quinn is a mastermind who has a perfect piece for his scheme in Micah Parsons. He's a fun switch-up defensive coordinator who is very deceptive in his play calls. He is a top play caller in defense, and to me, he is known as a guy who should stay a defensive coordinator and not worry about head coach. To summarize, the Dallas Cowboys just have an elite all-around roster. Let's add this defensive roster to one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and you have a top 3 defense for 2023. Finally, let's discuss the rating splits. Before I end every video, I go over the rating splits for offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and overall team. If you are interested in how these ratings work, they are in the description below. Let's start with the offense, which received a 79.14, which is 4th in the NFL, 2nd in the NFC, and 2nd in the NFC East. The defense came out at a 76.27, which is 4th in the NFL, 2nd in the NFC, and 1st in the NFC East. The special teams came out at a 70.21, which is 25th in the NFL, 14th in the NFC, and 4th in the NFC East. And the coaching came out at a 76, which is tied for 20th in the NFL, 10th in the NFC, and 3rd in the NFC East. As an overall team, they received a 76.71, which is 2nd in the NFC East, 3rd in the NFC, and 8th in the NFL. That's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We got 7 more teams to power rank, and you're missing out. Once again, I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and thank you guys so much for choosing this channel as your source of sports coverage. I'll see you guys in the next video.